After each census, Congress reallocates delegates to states based on population, and states reshape their congressional districts due to the changing number of delegates. However, this exercise in maintaining equal representation is often twisted to further the agenda of one party or group. When states are redistricted with this intent, it is called gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is a portmanteau of gerry, the surname of the first person to deliberately redistrict so as to benefit his party, and salamander, due to the amphibian's resemblance to the 1812 Essex South State Senatorial District of Massachusetts.
When there's gerrymandering and there's not a sort of fair and impartial map drawn, there are ways you can challenge it in court, but the representation that results from that may not be reflective of the population at large.
Gerrymandering is a way where politicians are able to choose their voters instead of voters being able to choose their representative.
Gerrymandering is very common today, and it has been throughout American history. It heavily impacts minorities throughout the country, and as a result, representation is not as equal as people believe it to be.
We have voting blocks that disproportionately vote for one party or the other. And so if you are engaging in partisan gerrymandering, it may also have the additional impact of having districts that are overwhelmingly, say, African American or Latino.
Gerrymandering occurs by packing a disproportionately large number of members of one group into one district and spreading the rest out across several districts. This causes a situation where a minority of the electorate occupies a disproportionate number of legislative seats, making representation in legislatures less equal.
I think one of the key cases is Wisconsin. A group of Republicans got together in a hotel room with powerful mapping software and with the kind of data about who lived where, so that they understood what their possible proclivities were in terms of ideology.
In 2012, the first election held after the redistricting, in aggregate, Democrats won over 54% of the votes cast for state assembly races, but only got about a third of the seats.
Since 2017, 3 lawsuits regarding gerrymandering have gone up to the Supreme Court: Gill v. Whitford, Lamone v. Benesek, and Russo v. Common Cause. Gill v. Whitford regarded a Republican gerrymander in Wisconsin, which was escalated to the Supreme Court. However, the plaintiffs failed to demonstrate they had standing to sue, causing the Supreme Court to remand the suit to a lower court. Lamone v. Benesek was a lawsuit regarding a Maryland pro-Democrat gerrymander claimed to have discriminated against Republicans. Russo v. Common Cause was against a North Carolina gerrymander designed to produce a Republican majority under any circumstances. The suit was merged with Lamone v. Benesek, and the Supreme Court ruled that federal courts have no place in ruling on political matters like gerrymandering.
They were greeted by a Supreme Court that was very skeptical of whether partisan gerrymandering could run afoul of the Constitution.
Instead, the court issued a kind of narrow decision that sent the cases back to lower courts. They didn't really say anything about this bigger question of whether there should be limits on this.
Gerrymandering can result in unequal representation, causing the United States to not be a true representative democracy, but a carefully manipulated system to achieve a political agenda not in line with the values of Americans. It can prevent a minority from gaining power in a legislature, locking the legislature into being controlled by a specific group.
The impact on the citizens of a state when their voice doesn't get equal weight to the minority of voters in the state, as happened in Wisconsin with our very significant partisan gerrymandering, I think that causes actual harm.
Whenever we have these redistricting rounds and we're going, right, another one's coming up around the corner, it's just gonna get more polarized. And you get these safe seats and these people that are happy sitting on the edges, spouting off their stuff because they know, hey, I'm safe.
Although many people disapprove of redistricting so as to discriminate against a specific group, others argue it is impossible to satisfy everyone. Any way a district is drawn, it will never be accepted by all. So many claim changing the system would be an inefficient use of a state legislature's time. Despite this, many states are taking the issue of gerrymandering into their own hands by granting the responsibility of redistricting to another, more impartial group.
Many states have in past decades looked at ways that they could still be the body that passes the final map, but they don't necessarily need to take part in drawing it.
Some states also accept referenda, which are petitions to include a certain question on the next election's ballot. However, there is still work to be done. Despite its negative consequences, gerrymandering remains a prominent issue. Since the U.S. Constitution was written, redistricting has been in the hands of the states. And as long as it remains legal, gerrymandering will continue to present obstacles for underrepresented groups, and it will continue to silence America's democracy.